Hi everyone, welcome to FESIG. Welcome to the 78th meeting, the second session. I am going to share screen right now so we can start with the intro. Okay, here we are.
Let's get together to co-create a breakthrough for freedom of energy, sustenance, healing, and regeneration of the human vessel. Welcome to FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Thank you. Right. So I welcome you once again to the second session of the 78th FESIG meeting. I would like to show my PowerPoint presentation right now so you can see what's on the agenda, because each video that we make is a standalone. Okay, so I have to go through the whole process again. Right, so, okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. So bad. Oh, dear me. Sometimes it doesn't work the way it should, but it's okay. It will be edited out. So it's not showing any secrets that's on my Facebook. Okay, right. Share screen. Okay. So we have the agenda here on my PowerPoint presentation. FESIG is Free Energy Special Interest Group. It's a platform where science meets spirit, where we encourage scientists, researchers, inventors, developers, enthusiasts of free energy and healing technologies to go within to solve the missing link of the equation, as Ralph would be telling you in a while. Wow. So we are going to go through very quickly the agenda, and then we will start with Ralph speaking. We just had a very great first session with Cobra. It is with such good luck that I managed to get him to come in to speak in FESIG. Actually, it wasn't done intentionally. I wasn't actually all out to target Cobra to come in and speak. I was looking for a healing technology to heal one of our team members. And then I found Dr. Joseph McNamara with the Techian chamber, Techian chamber, how do you pronounce that? Techian chamber, yeah. And he says, no, he's not the inventor, Cobra is. So I got through to Cobra and he comes in to speak. Oh, isn't that wonderful? We got a lot of questions answered today. Yes, and and then this is the second session now where we've got, whoa, the legendary Ralph Ring and Marsha Ring. They will be speaking about well, levitation teleportation technologies, because he's in the area of the magnetics, levitation, and teleportation, leading to the realities and participation of teleportation and esoteric consciousness. He worked alongside legendary inventor Otis T Carr, who is Tesla's protege, who has developed an anti-gravitic spacecraft. So he will be also talking about the Utron concept, flying saucers, teleportation, vehicles, and esoteric consciousness. And once we have done with the Q&A session, the meeting will then adjourn to the 79th FESIG meeting on the 5th of August. So hang on a minute. I just want to, well, you go to our past videos and you'll be able to see how to navigate our website and how to get to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel and so on and so forth. Okay, so I don't want to go through that again because I think everyone is patiently awaiting Ralph talking about well, you know, this wonderful subject that we all ears. So, okay, so without much ado, I'm going to introduce Ralph and Marsha. Ralph Ring worked for a US government-funded research facility in the areas of magnetics, levitation, and teleportation, leading to the realities and participations of teleportation and esoteric consciousness. Ralph is a natural scientist and a creative technician who, in the late 50s and early 1960s, worked together with Otis T Carr, a protege of Nikola Tesla, and a team of dedicated scientists on alternative technologies, one of which was teleportation. He was one of three to pilot a man-made spaceship, the OTC X-1. His dream since birth has and is to produce levitating homes, cities, and countries. He and his spiritual partner and wife, Marsha, talk on expanding consciousness and natural law, which enables people to see the simplicities of all things, thereby bringing their dreams closer to reality. Marsha Ring. The then Marsha Brown, his colleague and assistant, was accompanying him on his lecture tour since 2005 and became Mrs. Ring as a team from 2007 onwards, speaking together on interviews and lectures, enjoying the meeting of people and helping them to remember who and what they were created to be. Well, Ralph is a legend, and he says, our continuing endeavor is to reintroduce a better and safer form of transportation and habitation. BlueStar Enterprise devoted and dedicated BlueStar Enterprise is Ralph's company, is devoted and dedicated to bringing about a more peaceful, expedient, and affordable way of life through the use of alternative energy. And he says, you must always work with Mother Nature. Force is never necessary. The laws of physical universe are really very simple, Ralph Ring, as when he was interviewed by Kerry Cassidy in August 2006. Carr learned many secrets from Tesla, and much has been lost to time. But there are those here now through this website who are rediscovering the secrets from Carr's own mysterious writings and his patented drawings. And if you go to our website, you click on Ralph and Marsha's photograph, you will get straight away into their website. And if you click on their names, you get in there as well. So it's all linked up. Go to the website and you'll be able to find out. Okay. Okay, right. Over to you, Ralph and Marsha.
Hi. Oh,
thank you, Crystal.
It's so good to see you and talk to you in person. Gee, well, I'm going to try to brief it in the interest of time. So a lot of the things that perhaps will come up in the way of questions, I can refer them either to our website or to YouTube. If you type in free energy or Ralph Ring's videos, there's hundreds of them there that you can get a lot of your questions answered. And I will then be more expedient in just talking about what's going on right now, if that's okay. Okay. And Marsha, my beloved here, we don't go anywhere anytime we're together. When they invited us to go to the Breakthrough Energy Conference in the Netherlands, they said, well, we just want you, Ralph. And I said, no, I don't go without Marsha because I'm lost without her. She's my other half. She's everything. And I synergize through her with Source, so that Source is with us consistently 24/7. And so I can't even go to the grocery store without her anymore. I mean, it's just the way it is. We've known each other for over 40 years now. And we've been traveling and going around the nation and in foreign countries, speaking for the last 10 years at least. And then we went into a kind of a retirement when my hometown, Paradise, California, is up in the woods, a very beautiful, serene place. burned down. The whole town burned, including our home. And this was 8 o'clock in the morning, and we were just getting up to start our day. And I had put out Tesla material that was handwritten by Tesla to send off to the museum now being talked about, if not already started in Colorado.
Well, it's near Denver. It's not in Denver.
It's no. Where his lab was, where Tesla's lab was, Colorado Springs. They're trying to get a museum. So I decided that it was time to release all of the pertinent stuff that I'd been carrying for years, and put it in the museum where people could understand the technology, the love and person who Tesla really was. So the fire started, the embers were falling on the car and on the house, and we grabbed our dog, and she grabbed my medications, and we went out the door with flames all around us. We got into a line of traffic that would normally take 15 minutes to get to the edge of town. It took 5 hours to get there, and people were abandoning their cars or having trouble with heat and exhaustion. But we got to the edge of the fire, and it was by a hospital, by a medical facility. And Marsha looked out the window and said, "Well, I'm going to call my kids, or I'm going to text them." And so she did. And Marsha, can you tell them what?
Well, when I looked out the window, there were flames coming up through the pavement under the car. And at that time, I thought, okay, we're going on to our next experience. And so I was praying and crying. And
crying at the same time.
And Ralph was...
And I was sitting there. Sometimes I argue with Source against my better judgment. But the Source was saying, I was, requesting, how do I get out of this one? They're always slippery, and at the last minute, there's flames hitting our front bumper already, and the wall of fire is about 2 or 3 feet thick. What do I do? And the answer came, step on it. And I proceeded to hesitate, saying, well, step on it. And so I had to do that. I had to counter my feelings and accept Source's guidance. We went right through the fire, and I knew there was a car in front of me, and I was afraid I was going to hit him, but he'd gotten through the fire into the smoke area, and so did we. We got safely through the fire, came down the hill, and the rest is kind of history in the way of our where we're at now, where we've relocated to southern Arizona in a beautiful valley called a Green Valley, and it's circled in a very large area with, is there 93 or 95 communities in this area, and they're all HOA or the retirement communities and so forth. But we live in an estate where we're retired, and we have no corporate here. We're unincorporated. We're run by our city council, which consists of we the people. When we have a question, we get an answer, and vice versa. So it's run by the community. We have a system here that takes care of the whole community by ourselves. We don't ask for any assistance from anywhere. We have a thrift shop as huge as any Walmart could be, that's run by volunteers, and it comes in from the thrift shop, which is donated from the snowbirds that come here in the summertime. All the proceeds go back to the city, not the city, I'm sorry, the community to take care of the elderly, the children, or anybody that needs any help. We've even got a place here called Friends Indeed, and they're open. Well, most of the time they're open every day to help people with their needs, whatever they happen to be, medical or physical or scientific. And it's a wonderful community here. So we're very happy, and I know they want to hear more about what's going on with our consciousness right now. So we wound up here, and we're very, very pleased. This is like leaving paradise, and actually, in my honest feeling is that we've entered a kingdom of heaven, a state of heaven here, because and to prove it to Marsha and I, we have to prove it to ourselves. We drive through our community, which could take hours. I mean, there's just so many roads and things here, and the sidewalks are always clean, the roads are always clean, and we've never seen anybody out to clean them during the night or during the day. I mean, all the trees are manicured, everything is well taken care of. Even everybody's yard is just beautifully decorated. And so, to me, I haven't found anything better in my life than where we're at, and I'm just calling it a state of heaven that we're realizing right now, and it's very, very, very restful, because we needed a rest after the life together. We were really fractured in many ways, and thought we'd never be anywhere but retired here. But now things are popping up again for us. Our pods, which the BlueStar Enterprise, if people look at that, they can get in touch with the pods. We're also on Skype. I don't know where it's at on Skype because I haven't been there for a while, but BlueStar is also on Skype.
Can you explain pods?
Oh, when I was in the Hawaiian Islands speaking, I met with the Residence Project and Nissan Harrison, who was part of that facility, and we had long talks and decided to be distant partners, because he had a scientific way, which was way over my head. I'm just a nature boy. I just come right out of the woods. And he didn't understand that I talked to trees the way I did. So we said, well, let's go independently. We'll contact each other once in a while, see where we're at. And we agreed. So during that time, I was staying on the island. I was invited. We lived right on the water in Telekaluna Bay. And every morning we'd get up on our boogie boards, they call them, little boogie boards. They're just boards you lay on and get out in the water and play with the dolphins. And the dolphins would come. They knew who we were. I mean, I spent weeks there, and I became very, very friendly, related with the dolphins, because they have a memory system that just doesn't quit. They know who you are, and they know your energy field is what they're focusing on. And so I would, play with them. They'd bring a palm leaf to me, throw it at me, and then I'd throw it back at them. And then they'd come and try to give it to me and pull it away from me. I mean, we were playing. We were just having fun. And these dolphins would come in packs in different times of the day, but they've usually come in 2 or 3 or 4 different packs. They all, and they're called pods. And they are like our different countries coming together, because they were different from different sections of the ocean. They've come in for miles to come in and swim with the people. And so when I was asked, well, what are you calling all these people that are coming in their living rooms building these little devices and stuff? I said, well, let's call them pods. And so that's how the word pod got started. Now we have hundreds of them all over the world. They're everywhere. Australia and New Zealand and, oh my gosh, Morocco. And they have been working diligently for as long as BlueStar Enterprise has been around on free and abundant energy for all, for everybody, and working out of their own pockets, not ever asking for any donation, accepting them, of course, if they come, but we have all, by our mistakes, decided to be silent for the transition that's taking place right now. We have to be silent because, well, we were told to by people to be silent, and wisely done, because a lot of our pods got anxious to show what they had, and as soon as they crossed the line, they were shut down. All their things were confiscated, and in fact, there was people missing at times from when they would disclose some of the things they'd been working on. So we've all communally agreed to just keep quiet, just be still, that we're going through a chrysalis. We're becoming from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and that there's nothing that you and Marsha can do right now but kind of rest and give guidance from your world that we're experiencing, which is a very beautiful world. There's nothing ever, all is well all of the time here. There's nothing that isn't perfect, and that's what we're experiencing. And the way we share that with come here, will you? I'm doing this on.
It's just it's a time that there's so much chaos in the world, but it's a time. It seems to be, yes, but it's also a time of great joy, because we know this is a time that we've been waiting for. It's a time that the ascension is happening, and the questions and answers that Cobra just had answered are so amazing, because it just feels like we don't even know the reality of what's happening, but we feel that it is the time that we've come here for. And we're happy to still be here on this planet, to come and to share this time. So I feel like even though so many people are feeling so saddened and so desperate, that if they could just go and feel in their heart the love and the peace and the joy that is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well said. Here. That's why I love the two of you.
Thank you.
I just feel it so strong, and I just know it, and yet there's not everybody that we can share this with. I mean, they think we're kind of crazy, and maybe we are, but we can feel it.
It's kind of a lonesome feeling when you're living in two worlds at the same time. I mean, consciously living it. We're able now to understand and utilize teleportation or bilocation, and we do this on a regular basis. We don't really ever talk about it to anybody, because we don't want to sound like we're doing something that they can't do, because they can do the same thing, but they're just not had the opportunity yet to try it. But we encourage people to get behind the idea of the life they've been living is real, and get back to the authenticity of reality, which is beyond this synthetic man-made creation that we've been experiencing. And it hasn't really worked in the time it did, and the so-called cabal have just taken advantage of that and then put everybody under a stranglehold. And so that's where we seem to be. And I lost my train of thought. I forgot where I was going. Help.
Well, we are experiencing the ascension times.
Yeah.
And a big part of being here and enjoying this time is your experience with Otis Carr and with what you went through. So it's a wonderful time to be able to continually share that special time in your life.
And I think they probably want to hear a little bit about our work, and my interest has always been, spaceships or floating homes, if you will, like the Jetsons instead of the Flintstones. And so we've never stopped. When I worked with Carr, we had moving parts. We had to machine a lot of the things we were using to build the crafts with. But we had, after they closed us down because we were too close to center as far as they were concerned, because we had operational craft that we were willing to give the whole thing to the people, and we took it to General Motors, and they turned us down because they said we were crazy. We were going to upset the monetary system because they supported hundreds of thousands of people, and we were coming along with the idea that we can run everything off of magnetism. And they says, well, there goes your oil fields, there goes your electric companies. And I said, well, it's just a matter of change, and it doesn't have to be drastic or overnight. It can be gradual. Just, in fact, it is happening. Actually, when you look at the entire picture from a state of meditation, all is well. Everything is happening as it's meant to happen. And you don't have to worry or get upset about anything that happens, because everything you're seeing or hearing is as it seems to be, not as it is. And as it is waiting for us when the next door opens, when they start accepting the guys in the pods with all their free energy devices they've been storing. They're all been waiting in the wings to give these to people to overnight just transform the world, because nobody will ever have to worry about a shelter or heat or cold or any or food or anything. And we'll show them how to draw energy right out of the air, the people that are starving in some of the countries, so that they can stay alive with the trauma, if you will, or the energy fields that come to us every day. But we've forgotten that we can just live on those, and we get confused and get into a lot of food, like I do sometimes. Okay.
Well, it's just a time where we've lived in this third dimension, been programmed by our parents and their parents and on to be slaves, like it's being said.
Servitude.
We're in servitude to so much, but we've forgotten. The veil has been pulled down over our eyes, and we've forgotten who we actually were created to be. Unlimited spiritual beings, that we have everything given to us already. And until we actually sit back and forget all of the programming, all of the things that we've learned, and allow who we are, who we really are, to come through, then we're going to see that there is nothing that we can want or desire. Everything is here now.
It's already done. We just can't see it. And the realization comes. I had a term talking to a friend of mine one night. We were talking about realizing things. Well, we realize this and realize that. And I said, wait a minute. Let's metaphorically take a look at this word and see it differently. We're always seeing our realities differently anyway. Realize, well, we're using these peepers up here that don't hardly see anything. They're usually blind most of the time. But there is, in Eastern philosophies and Eastern ways, they've honored the pineal gland, the pituitary situation, that called the all-seeing eye. That means you open your mind, not your brain, but your mind, which is consciousness, to infinity. And in infinity, there is no limits. There are no limits at all. And the idea to just be transcends as you come up the ladder of the belief system, right and wrong, left and right, to a knowing system. I know that I know. And then you get to, yeah, I know that I know. That means you know how to drive a car now. You don't have to worry about it. Just go on about your business, to a state of, oh, I made it. I know nothing. And that's what we have to accept, that we, as a collective consciousness, are one, not diversified or not separated in any way. So when Marsha and I released Ralph and Marsha to the ethers, take us and work through us. You run our life through us, and we'll just sit back and observe. And they said, well, you be the observant, and we'll bring forth things that will entice the appetite or bring people to ponder what we're saying. And about the statement I made earlier that Marsha and I are already doing these things is as real as I can say, and I won't go into details because it's not necessary, but we are experiencing these things ourselves. We are doing these things beyond the physical realm. We are negotiating on many levels of consciousness.
And I want to say right now that it's not just us. Every one of us are doing this. Please
just don't realize it.
Be aware of what's happening in your life, and then give it that knowledge, that truth, that authenticity, and know that, you know, we are no longer blinded. We are the masters we've been looking for. We're them.
Very good.
So we need to realize that and see what's happening in our lives. Then we can go forth and do greater things and be who we truly are meant to be.
Yeah, the age of Thomas right now is we have completed the academia world, thank God, and have entered a world that is completely different. It is one of remembering who we are, what we are, and why we're here, and what we can do with what we know. And it's a completely different world. So there's no more learning. People don't have to learn anything anymore. If they want to know something, starting remembering and going into meditation or quiet time by yourself and asking your own questions to your own self, which is a part of all of us, because we're all there with you and you're all there with us. And the Beatles had it right when they wrote the song, I Am a Walrus, with I am you and you are me and we are all one. And that's so true. So you can come back to a loving friendship, and instead of this separation that now the blacks are against the whites and the whites are against, this goes on forever. And you'll repeat it and repeat. We've been repeating it for 400 years, as far as I know. And it's stopping all by itself, because we have run into a wall where there's no other place to go but back to ourselves, to our source. And all these adversities, seeming adversities, wars, killing, murders, all these things, and as drastic as they seem to be, is what's necessary in some cases to change people's way of looking at life, and looking at themselves, and of reaching a point of just being without thinking. Stop thinking, because you're creating the same thing that's been going on for years, and that's our thought patterns. It's a matter of feeling your way through life, and that's what Marsha and I do. We get up in the morning and have no idea what's going to happen, and it just starts happening, and it's just so beautiful. Everything we look at is beautiful, and I mean, I can't describe it.
It's hard sometimes to not buy into the masks and the things that are all around us, but we just have to be still and know that this being that we are is from the oneness of all of us, of God, and we're here now, and it's a special time in our lives, because we haven't always felt like this. It's been a growth period. So, but to share the light is so important, and that's what we're attempting to do.
Certainly. Talking about consciousness and awareness and expanding our well, you know, evolving consciousness.
Yes.
I think we're all dying to hear what you had been saying repetitively over and over again for years and years, but we're still wanting to hear them about how when you got your job with this big corporation, Ralph, and your boss was so delighted when you have solved the problem and managed to levitate some stuffs, and then he told you, no, you're paid not to solve the problem, but you're paid to just see it or not to do it, but to look at it. Is that what you went through? And that was so fascinating. And then you were introduced to Otis Carr, and then Otis Carr and you were developing those levitating devices and doing teleportation, and you managed to crack it, and you managed to actually invent this flying saucers, these some devices that could actually teleport and levitate, and then it got confiscated, and then they don't know how to do it because what were they taken to Diego Garcia or something like that, and they don't know how to work it because you were saying that it's the consciousness that drives it and not the pilot on the steering wheel, right? So could you put some light on that, Ralph? We would really love to hear how you make this devices move and work.
In our particular work, and this is coming into our reality that we're experiencing in the third dimension. So it's not that far-fetched till people get a hold of it and start using it. We operate things from our mind only. And to give reference to this that makes sense to some of the people, the University of Minnesota has a program dedicated to helping the paraplegic and the quadriplegic people that are helpless. They've invented a device similar to a little craft, a little round device that can be operated with a skull cap that goes on, and with the diodes hitting different parts of the brain, can be fully operated and controlled by the individual. They're moving it around the room, and they can look this up on our website. We've got a link to it, or they can just type in Mind Over Mechanics, Minnesota University, because so many people, realize, well, we have thoughts and we create ideas, but they put them in the background. They're always crowded by things of the past or events of the seeming future coming into play. And as long as they're cluttering their mind with past and future events, they're not going to see the present. They're not going to see who at this moment. They are magnificent, perfect beings, and we're here to get back to being that again. We've lost it and become semi-robots. We've become, subservience, and servitude keeps people from being creative beings that they truly are. They have to go to work and work hard to support their families, and they haven't got time to build free energy devices. But if you give them enough time to be who they are and to do what they came here to do, which is the same thing, we all have to get back to love, which is the main object of all of it. And when we do that, then the consciousness that operates our particular craft, the ones that we build, and the ones that we are that we have waiting in the wings now for people, are run with no instruments of any kind but your heart and your mind. And it's in a word, it's love. You have to love the craft like yourself, because everything has consciousness, and the craft as well. And when you use love to operate, it's the only thing that'll operate it. When they took our craft to Los Alamos and put it underground, they tried to mount weapons on it, and weapons are totally obsolete in the magnetic field because magnetism is love. I mean, it's the same thing. Semantics are always getting in the way with words, but magnetism and love are one and the same. And there's a law of attraction, and everything comes into play. But go ahead.
Can you tell them about the time that you and Carr, Otis T Carr, got together and how he told you had to go into the craft and be still and let all thought?
Oh yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, Marsha just reminded me, for those that haven't heard it or haven't seen one of our videos, when we were going to operate our 45-foot craft, I, along with two engineers, I was just a lab tech, and I'd go for hamburgers and work on the shop, but I knew natural law because I was raised in the woods. Everything I did back and forth to school for all the way through grade school was with nature. I mean, we talked to beetles and barks on trees, and talked to trees, and fish would almost jump out of the water sometimes, and when we were talking to them. So it's aligning with natural law, which is perfect. It's always perfect. It's a perfect moment, but the moment happens in the moment to the moment to the moment. The now keeps moving, so you're always in the now. Don't think about the future anymore, and don't try to dig up something that used to work in the past, because it won't work anymore. Just be in the moment, and with your mind knowing nothing, you're open to knowing everything, because that's who and what we are. That's the 0 point. The 0 point is the collective consciousness of all of us. And what I don't know, Joe or Jack or Jane or somebody will know, or above or below that area, we'll be able to trust truth to come through us. And it's very hard because people want to manufacture an idea that hasn't grown its growing cycle. It hasn't been reached the point of explaining truth, and so they're partly truth. They're part truth. But when you let go and let source and have the complete trust in God we trust. That's a good example for America, is in God we trust, because we lost that. We get back to trusting the source, and you can call it anything you want, but higher self or anything. When you get back to trusting that, you find out you and the source are one, and the one is everything. Everything. It's the table that I'm sitting on right now, the chair, the wall, the television. It's all one. And when you get back to learning to respect everything in its own dimension, we say hello to the chair when we get up sometimes. I mean, we don't always make a habit of it, but we talk to our furniture, and Marsha talks to her plants every day. I talk to my birds. I feed the birds and the squirrels and everything in our yard. So we have a wonderful conversation with everything, because everything is love if you let it be. And that means staying out of the way of thinking. Don't try to think when you're doing anything. Just be who you are. Go by your feelings. Well, I'm feeling pretty good today. Then be feeling pretty good. Don't say one thing and do another, because it doesn't work. So, are we still on?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's time now to pass over to the co-chair. But before I do that, I want to thank Mike Emery. Mike is here, Ralph, Marsha. Yeah, Mike, you want to say hi? And Mike was the one who produced Ralph and Marsha to speak here at FESIG.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much. We love you, and we're looking forward to our very near future.
Our next adventure.
Our next adventure. It's going to be a form of disclosure. It has to happen. And the power behind it is so enormous that they're kind of afraid to open any doors because it's going to be coming out like gangbusters. So they've found a way to release the pressure slowly, and that's what we're experiencing now. We're going through a pressure release. We're getting back to knowing who we are now. Well, I thought I belonged to the corporate because now corporate has disowned me, and I'm sitting here with myself. Well, I better get acquainted or reacquainted, and then find out, oh, this is not what I want to do with my life. And so things are changing, and everybody, they're all seeing a different way of looking at things. So it's a peaceful time of getting to know ourselves better and knowing ourselves more, and to know that the life we want is filled with love, not fear, not doubts, not guilt, none of those things. And that's just up ahead of us now. And we've been, in our own way, Marsha and I have been, trying to help people wake up. We can't do it for them, but we can show them the easy ways to do it. And for years, and we've noticed, we get comments, we get emails, hundreds and hundreds of them at times. Not so much anymore since the fire. They all think we died in the fire, I think. I don't know. We're not really public too much anymore. Right now we're enjoying where we're at, and we're putting ourselves back together. The future with people like Mike is up ahead waiting for us. So we're moving in the right direction.
Right. I think it's a question and answer time now. I will
Sure.
pass the microphone over to the co-chair, Fresfrezel. Dr. Fresfrezel, would you speak up, please?
Thank you so much, Crystal.
Marsha and Ralph. And then.
Thank you, Crystal. And this has been just absolutely fantastic. By the way, Marsha, you answered 4 of my questions in order as they were being written down.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
We're going to go through this real quick. You're going to like this. You ready?
Yeah.
One of the questions was the corporate. That was the last one. And it was answered instantaneously, which was very good. I really appreciate your answer on that one. We get to the famous image of Tesla's photograph. Okay, this is the question I started with you. Of him sitting with his finger positioned on his head in front of his vertical pancake coil, not horizontal, it's vertical. There's lightning all the way around it. His other hand is on the book on his lap, which is open. That book happens to be one of his favorite books, as we find out later on. When we think that's a really kind of an interesting picture, but the thing is he is trying to talk to us from the distance. This is a symbol picture. This isn't just a nice little photograph that's there. The group that we're working with in our team, we sat and thought, well, what is he saying to us? And the first message we picked up was, change your point of view, or the position that you're viewing things. Number 2, open your mind. You answered the question. Number 3, what you are seeing is less than half of what I'm showing you. Okay? The next one is step out of the box, free your mind. Our membership is also taking what Tesla's doing, and we are looking at his drawings. We're trying to figure out what in the heck is he talking about, because he has condensed everything out of the 3-dimensional into a 2-dimensional schematic. And there's shadows, but it's an illusion of what else we're looking at. The thing that we contrast with, which is what the 2 of you are talking about, is what Tesla was doing with electricity compared to what Victor Schauberger was doing. Schauberger observed nature. He observed the trout, the water, and the spin, and all that type of stuff. What Tesla was doing with electromagnetic field is 1/2 what Schauberger was doing in the physicality, in the organic world, is the other half.
It's beautiful.
You would you like to take a moment and comment? Now that
That's amazing. That's perfect. Right on.
Yes,
That's
right on. Exactly perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One of the other messages that's coming back and forth in here is we understand what you're talking about as pods. We go from academia to remembrance. What we're working on, what we're looking at is solid state electromagnetic generating. That's the physicality. When we manipulate the physicality, we're manipulating more than what we see dimensionally from what we're looking at. We, as humans at this point in the scientific thing, we try to condense everything down into a two-dimensional graph. We have the volume of something here against time and back and forth. What under knowing, we're only seeing, and we're graphing, only 1/5 of what we're playing with at this point of understanding. And what I'm going to is the electromagnetic field, you're saying two things at once. And there's the interaction. So how can we, as scientists, combine, and this is kind of an open question, the hardcore electromagnetic to the organic?
Very, very good question. I'm not sure I can fulfill your desire for a satisfactory answer, but there is a shifting that is taking place where we have to put the idea of 3D behind us. I mean, we have to say, well, it was a nice game, but the Monopoly, we passed go, it's over now. Let's close the game and be who we really are, which is a collective consciousness. So you what was the question again?
Oh, no. Go ahead.
It's got something to do with the electromagnetic.
Oh, yes.
And the magnetic. The magnetism is love. The electromagnetism.
Well, I think I can better put it in.
Okay.
Carr, when I first met Carr, he says we're not going where Tesla was, we're going where Tesla is. And I said, what do you mean by that? Well, because we're going to pull this thing out through the third dimension into multidimensional frequencies. So in doing that, we have to remember who and what we are. We're perfect beings with perfect everything. We've got everything that we could ever want at our disposal. So the steps, I keep forgetting the question.
Anyway, I'm gonna do a quick table talk back to Mike. And yes, Mike, what you commented in the chat is correct. Thank you, Mike. And getting back to what we're talking about is basically when you were talking about your team that you put together, you have several different individuals that have different fields of expertise. And the understanding that each one of your team members is working together to solve the problem. And so because it's not just me sitting over here in America and you down in Las Vegas or whatever, and somebody over in Sweden. It is actually all of us working on the same problem simultaneously in the mind link across all
Yes.
platforms.
Well, Carr explained the difference to us anyway of magnetism, which is almost undescribable. I mean, there's no way you can. It's everything, everything, and in Carr's view, magnetism is a magnificent thing that has little or nothing to do with electromagnetism. And he was equating this to, we're going to be dealing with vibrational energy, which is electrical and milli this and that, but not really the same thing, because you have, when you are exploding something, you have a destructive, rays of electrical charges that are going out. When you implode something, they go into a more mellow, a more calm and peaceful way of dispersing energy that isn't disrupted. So the difference is the consciousness of people have to get where they love themselves and their work and their environment as everything in order to operate our specific craft. But we have sub models that now that are going to be available in the physical realm that'll eventually be toys that they can play with and get to the point of realizing they don't really need them, but they can have them if they want them. And a lot of people at that point will start using their hearts and their minds in a direction that's going to be fruitful.
Thank you. I've got Mike Emery. I'm going to bring you up because I'm getting hammered right now that you've got a question. Go ahead, Mike Emery. Come on ahead. Bring your question.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Time and space don't exist the way we think it does, and Ralph and Marsha know that, and that's a big part of the Utron experience. The whole thing of the Utron. There isn't anything out there. It's all inside here.
Yeah.
And talking with Ralph earlier, what came on to me big time was, for example, the laws of physics are bogus. We know that they're bogus. Okay, well then why do we continue to observe them? And the answer is because we all agree to. And since we all agree to, then we have the laws of physics. If we didn't fucking agree, they wouldn't be there.
I knew there was a reason I was calling you up, Mike.
Huh?
I knew there was a reason I was calling you up. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Ralph and Marsha, go ahead.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You want us to go ahead?
We've got a field of love. The ether is a field of 2 parts love and 1 part time. And on that, we, Imagineer, our consciousnesses, our pure consciousnesses that ride our ass like donkeys till we die every time, okay, have dreamed up a shit show and created us puppets to dance around in it for entertainment purposes. And it's entertainment via separation. And this is why suffering, okay, suffering to our pure consciousness is a holiday from all knowing, which is very difficult to get away from, as is obvious because of the extent of the shit show that we have here.
Right, I need to step in a little first.
You go right ahead, Crystal.
Because
go right ahead.
To continue from where I left off, I was saying to Ralph and Marsha, okay, when those levitating teleportation crafts that you had built with Otis Carr had been confiscated by the powers of who maybe and taken somewhere else, so you don't have them anymore, but they couldn't drive it, right? But you said they couldn't do it because they didn't use their hearts and their mind and their consciousness. That's why they couldn't do the connection. So they were expecting to pilot the crafts like a person driving a car with the buttons and all that, right? So how do you drive it? I think everybody is curious and they want to know, how do you do it? Okay, the connection is one thing, but there must be some buttons that you push or some gears or what? Tell us, Ralph.
No, it's really simpler than even thinking about, because it already is. And when we merge with what it is, it's what we make it. It's what we make it in the moment, in the nanosecond. Because it doesn't, it's like Mike was just saying, it doesn't really exist until we put energy on it, which is thought, which we have a feeling, and then we process it to the thought processing, and then we can make it, manifest it into reality. So
can you? I think the way you tell it, that Otis Carr said to go into the craft and absolutely clear your mind.
Yeah.
Have no thought of anything, but tune into that light frequency that was aquamarine. Can you tell it about that? That's I think what's
it's synergizing. It's synergizing with anything. It's kind of hard for the humanness to think of being without food and comfort and shelter. I mean, it's kind of hard to go there without understanding that they will never go without those things if they let go of the idea they already have them, because they don't really have them, they just think they do. And the difference between knowing and thinking is where, when something is needed, source, the universe, brings it to you without you even realizing, well, I didn't think I needed that yet, but here it is. So you've turned the entire picture around. You're no longer wanting, no longer hoping, no longer thinking too much that you're going to get something. Because if you're in alignment with being who you are and just being patient enough with your intention, this has got to be a peaceful world, all right? Hold that intention and be patient, because your answer is coming. It has to, because you say so. In your world, you have created in your world a question that has to have an answer, and it has to come back to you in your world. Well, your world is a part of our world, so when the answer comes back to you, it comes back to all of us. Well, it's getting closer. Yeah, well, keep forgetting, like I mentioned, academia. Academia has been great up to this point. Metaphysics has been great up to this point, but now we're going to a realm of mysticism, which means you have nothing. There's not going to be a codependence anymore on metaphysics. In mysticism, you have to be or not. And if you are being, you don't have to worry, you don't have to think, you don't have to do anything but enjoy what you have been missing all these years by denial, by self-denial of not being able to accept who you are. You are a magnificent person, and we all are. We're all magnificent. How can you look at somebody honestly and not see the beauty in someone's gestures or their expressions or their voice or their, it's incredible. But you have to change the way you look at something as beautiful instead of anything else. It's a matter of perception, and we use words to help people, like to show them how they can feel the changes. I use words all the time, and one of them is the word depression. They say, "Oh, well, I don't want to think about depression." Well, of course not. We as humans don't like the word depression. until we go into meditation. I'm using a metaphor here because you can just be still for a minute and get the same thing. We go into another way of looking at it, and you take that word from a person that is assumed being depressed, and he's pushing you away, saying, get away from me, let me be depressed, to thinking he's a maniac and locking him up with chains and putting him in a dungeon because he seems to be outrageous, to looking at the word differently, and watch the way you feel about the word depression, and watch your emotions change when I say the word deep rest. Instead of depress, deep rest. He's in a deep rest. He's had it with the outside world. He's going into his cave, and he'll be damn good and ready when he's finished here to come back out as he chooses. So you look at something then as a negative, it becomes a positive. Oh, well, everybody's in a deep rest, but they don't realize it. But when they do and start, looking at things a little deeper, they say, oh, well, God, I'm just thinking this thing over. I'll be out of it in a little bit. And it changes because you say so. Because we're creating our own realities momentarily. We're just, but we're creating from nothing. We're creating everything from nothing, or such, and don't have any ideas in the way, or they'll stop you. Then you start using your brain to think it's doing something, and it's not really important for the brain to do anything but operate the 10 trillion cells it has to operate every day, and so it's got itself filled with its job.
Right. Okay. So it's the maker and the creator interfacing with the device that the maker has created, that you and Otis Carr has put together this device. Okay, so it's an interfacing of the a connection of consciousness, right? And Marina Jacobi has typed in the chat box saying that the craft is mimicking your consciousness. So how does this work, Ralph?
Well, if you
when you get to a vibration, when you get to a certain vibration, you become one with it.
Yeah. By the experiment that I just tried, I didn't do a very good job of explaining to people. Change your way of looking at it. That changes your vibratory rate forever. Once you tear it apart and look at the truth, deep rest is a better truth than depressed. Then from then on, you'll use depressed and rest instead of being depressed. Those are the stepping stones. You have to change your way of looking at everything. Take dis-ease. Well, you're ease. You're not at ease. That's all. There is in all of reality, there is no disease unless we create it. We are the creators of everything because we say so. And we have invented ourselves into a hierarchy, a cabal, if you will. We've done it all to ourselves, and now we have to unwrap the stuff that we've buried ourselves in. The ideas and everything has to be unraveled and say, no, wait, I look at this differently now. Look at it differently, and you'll find that in a word, everything is good. There is nothing but goodness in frames of reference.
So when you were the three of you were in the craft, you had to become one with the crystalline, the aquamarine.
Yeah.
Excuse us just a minute.
Turn that off. Darn phone went off. I'm sorry. You have to syncretize. you have to synergize with the craft. When we were building the craft, and I was a machinist when I was a kid, so I was building parts with Carr in the shop, and every part had to be plus or minus almost zero before we could fit it to the next part. I mean, that's how precise everything has to be. And then when you go to put one part with another, you have to feel it. You can't just sit it there and say that looks good. You have to feel, oh no, a little more here, a little more there, until it is where it's meant to be, because everything has a component. And if you don't reach that other side correctly, then everything from that point on will be miscorrected, and you'll never accomplish what you're seeking, because it'll be eventually fall apart because you haven't put everything in alignment. So every part we made was done with feeling, like, yeah, that feels right. Well, that's another story. But I've thrown away parts that could be very, very costly, but they didn't feel right, and I couldn't put them with the other parts. And the economics in those days wasn't any more popular than it is today, and we had to be very careful of what we used in the way of parts. But I'd throw away a part that just didn't fit, because it has to be with feelings, no thought. Oh, I think that doesn't work anymore. And stop using thought to try to create reality, because it's not a reality, it's an illusion. And we all create it at the same time by thinking too much.
Wonderfully explained. Thank you, Ralph and Marsha. Marina has just texted me a message. She's the author of Quantum Manifestation, and she's with the Council of Nine. So she wants to put a little bit of thought here, if she can press. Is it all right, Ralph?
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Please do. Please do.
Marina, come on then, Marina.
Marina.
Hi. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I respect you. I was contacted by the hybrids, then the Pleiadians, and the Council of Nine. And from a child, I had a lot of experiences with extraterrestrials. So what happened was, at 2010, I got a contact from hybrids, then the Ra, and then Pleiadians, and I downloaded through automatic writing, and then telepathically, I'm now in telepathic level, the harmonic reactor and the nanotechnology. They taught me quantum physics. I understand, I get images, all the stuff, everything you talk about it. And I watched you at that time because I thought I was losing my mind. So you were like my heroes, because I thought I really lost it by comparing. But the way they were explaining, the harmonic reactor is exactly teleportation, and is creating a spacecraft. And I talk a lot about the 0 point. Everybody here knows I talk about the zero, the neutrality, where in that neutrality, you can switch the frequency vibration of your consciousness connected with the feeling of the body, which is a resonance. And when you combine those two, they told me that it creates magnetic and gravitational field. That magnetic and gravitational field could be measured in a spacecraft that has also artificial consciousness, life structure. And you cannot go to a reality above the structure that you can match with the spaceship, because they say the molecule structure is going to become off orbit, and you're going to disseminate. So you will go only whatever the heart structure with the consciousness and the feeling together is combining with the structure. So if the spacecraft is connected with the heart structure, which is 5th dimensional and above, the way the extraterrestrials are, you can never ever use it for, they told me, for a destruction. You will never be able to reach the timelines of vibration that is connected with the heart in a positive locations and in the quantum structure worlds. This is how they explain to me.
That's beautiful. That's great.
Yeah. That's why it's so difficult to explain to somebody why you can't drive it like a car, why you can't get in and have all the instruments that we've been using. because it has to do with us. This is us we're driving around. I mean, that is a part of us. And we're going to have this separation. And the separation is what causes the resistance from it occurring. It can't happen as long as you resist it and say, no, it can't. And you have to take the not out of the word can. To make it work, you have to feel your way. And
because that spaceship is also a life. It's
Yes,
also
life structure.
yes.
Ether
it's also-
technology is like an ether technology, and they told me that the craft could be designed specifically for you, that the mothership, the motherboard is a life structure. Ether technology completely recognizes you, and you have to match frequencies. And they taught me, one day I was walking around, because you guys know better than anybody that we coexist in multiple realities. So they literally told me, I was in the kitchen, immediately sit down, because you're learning how to drive the spacecraft. Sit down. So I'm sitting down, and they told me you didn't know how to stop before you enter a different reality. So they told me I have to connect with my mind. I sat down, and they were teaching me, they were telepathically talking to me and telling me to stop before I enter the structure of the new reality, because I cannot stop at once. It has to be fractally. So I don't do something with a craft.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, that was the
nature.
question I was going to ask. I was going to ask, do you have to make your own craft in order to drive it with the connection, the interfacing of your consciousness and the craft? I like, if you make your craft with Otis, Ralph, I can't go in there and drive your craft. I have to make my own, as Marina was saying. It's specially made for you by yourself. Is that it?
Yes, it's once you understand, the difference between the illusion and reality, or the authenticity of the craft, is that it's real, and real is who you are. So you synergize quite almost instantly if you are designing your own craft. And I have to use the metaphors here because I don't know how it would work, but if you're designing your own craft, you'll have to say, well, I want it with some flowers, and I want rivers going through it, and some horses maybe out in the meadow, and well, anything you want, as big as you want, 100 miles, 200, whatever you want, and then throw the idea away, throw it away, and go back to your heart, where you have just felt a pinch, a little pinch feeling. And that's the intention going out to the universe, the saying of force, here it is, and it's coming to you. And you have to say, well, where, when? Well, in its own time. And the time is depending on you. When you're vibrant enough to accept it, and it'll come into your into your life and into your world. And if if it doesn't fit in your world, then you'll find that you'll be kind of lonesome for a while, so you find somebody else building their ships, and then you can get along, and every ship loves each other anyway, so you don't have to worry about anybody getting upset about anything. And a world of love is completely contrary to the way we've been living. We've been living in a world of hate. I mean, this is really an abomination, the way we've been living, compared to what's coming up now. It's just pure love. There's no limits. There's no, and anybody can create their own ideas, or if they want somebody else to help them, then like, we can't do it for them, but we can show them the way they can do it for themselves quite easily. It's simply change your mind, change your way of thinking and your way of feeling. Forget thinking too much and start feeling your way more in your life. if it doesn't feel good, don't go there. It doesn't mean that it's a bad place to go, but it's not your time. It's not your bridge. So don't try to cross somebody else's bridge. You have to wait till your bridge comes to you at the right, equilateral place. And then that's your bridge. Oh, this is my bridge, so I can cross it. So it's just a matter of patience.
That's
0 point.
That's the 0 point.
Yeah.
You have to wait for that 0 point, and then it happens, right?
Got you, Martha.
But we're all doing these things now. See, that's the thing that's hard to realize, because we're dealing with time, and time says there's a past and a future. There is no time. So everything that we're dreaming of, or ever would want to dream of, is happening right now. And the way we get there is forgetting where we think we are and knowing where we truly are. We are in a state of nirvana, or a state of ecstasy, most all of the time. And from there, we are creators, and we know that we're creating, and we realize that we're creating. And it's very hard for the brain to comprehend being a creator. The brain just is not interested in that at all. So you have to use your mind and your heart, and then you have to be patient. You have to just let it happen, and don't try to push it, because it just doesn't work. Nothing. But the very fact that we're here on this conversation, having this conversation, and I know I'm not doing a very good job today. I'm sorry, but I was up late last night or something. I don't know what was wrong, but
I don't think there's anything wrong.
We do have a question in chat, and from chat, and it comes: can we find schematics for your ship design online? And the other part of it is, do you think the ship has a soul?
Oh, yes.
Yes. There is. The soul is infinite. It is. The soul is all of everything. Everything has soul, depending on the frames of reference. Like rocks have a more subtle soul than trees, or whatever you want to do to dissect it. But we all have an attachment to the thing called life, which is everything. Everything has a soul. I mean, can you explain on that?
Well, and then the schematics, I believe.
Oh, wait, the schematics. Yes, they can go on. They can go on BlueStar Enterprise.
They're on the website.
Let me brief this a little bit so you'll understand what happened. When Tesla built his craft, he had levitation, he had teleportation already incorporated in the craft. He went to the patent office. They said, "Bull, that doesn't fit our game here. You'll have to take those out and come back, and we'll give you a patent on an amusement device." So Carr did that, but while he was doing it, he started writing this tremendous book called Dimensions of Mystery. It's still available. It's in the Library of Congress too, I think. Dimensions of Mystery were the prose, the poems, the poetry of nature. He would describe at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if you look at a hummingbird's wing at a right angle to a sunflower, you're going to see something spectacular happen. So, I mean, it's all written into this poetry, but he doesn't say it as scientifically or trying to explain a spaceship or anything. He's just giving him an idea. So he wrote this book, and he said, when the day that this is decoded, the spaceships will be already back in and inoperative, and they're already operating now. We just are not aware of it. The same types of ship that we've been working on are operating in our system now, but they're in another frame of reference. So we can't quite. We can feel them, and we can sense them, and we can communicate with love on any level with anything. But in order to bring it where am I?
To our awareness.
To our awareness.
Anyway, the book.
Oh, the book. Oh, so we went from moving parts to solid state circuitry. We got to digital. We got all the way through all that. No moving parts, and then we have a brilliant person, and he's one of our key people that decided. It took 3 years to decode the book, Dimensions of Mystery. And he has decoded it. It is on our website. There's the original version, which you can read about all the birds and the bees and how he meant. But everything has is a metaphor. It has a precise angle to truth. It is all connected to truth. So for almost 4 years, he spent decoding this. He's put it into the decoded version, and that's right alongside and available to anybody that wants to download it. And the schematics are there to a point, meaning you have to pick it up from there and do it, because we can't. Nobody can do it for you, but the precise measurements, the precise ideas of a wholesome concept when you're building it has to be there, or it won't work. So they're on the website. They can, and then when they look at them, they'll see things of Egypt, things of metaphorically of life itself in different levels, and different a lot of things like Walter Russell or Schomburg or any of those guys. You'll see it all in there. But it is precise, and it's work, and those principles that he puts into that disclosure are accurate. They're absolutely, totally accurate to how the spaceship works, and it's very simple. In a word, it's magnetic resonance. I mean, but it all comes down to that. That's all it is. When you resonate with something, you change it, and that's the concept of the Utron. The heart of our ship.
I've got one that I can read right now from chat, and that is: have you considered doing a joint venture with John Searle, S-E-A-R-L-E, to try to recreate the missing components?
It's been done. We did that three years ago. We went to England. We talked at the Arundel Castle.
It was in 2012.
In 2012. We had and this is one of the, if they're not all gone on YouTube, we lost all our tapes and everything, but I think they're still going on YouTube. The one with John Searle, and we talked for 3 hours with him, and they're one-to-one on our ideas, and he is at the same level we were. You get to a point and you have to use consciousness. People can't understand that. They want to keep recreating the idea that it's going to work with nuts and bolts, and it doesn't work there anymore once you get to a certain level. But anyhow, it's a 3-hour video on YouTube.
Excellent. Another question: in some of the older designs, we do see spinning Mercury in the drive. Is this part of the continuing forward for these crafts?
Mercury, we have completely obsoleted Mercury. Graphene is what we're concerned with as far as components now, because we had a misfortune with Mercury. A car, when he was operating it, had an accident with the mercury leaking, and they had to go to the hospital and stuff. And we just decided it was a dangerous way to go. Let's go another way, and we did. And so we had nothing more to do with mercury. We didn't use it anymore.
From one of the other questions in chat is, so is the ship not necessary then? It can be done consciously, is the question.
Yes.
Oh, of course, of course. We are magnificent, and there is no impossibilities. We can create anything. I mean, but it depends on our level of of crap that says we can't, that we've accumulated. We have to get rid of all that idea. And the what's referred to as the Merkaba, it's a symbol like the neutron is, but the neutron has all the solids, the platonic solids in one element. And the Merkaba is a little bit different, but it's the same idea. It's who and what we are. We're energy. So if you want to travel from here to Mars in a ship, you can have a comfortable ship to travel in, or you can just be yourself and be your own spaceship, which we are, your Merkaba, and just think of landing on Mars, of being on Mars, of being on Mars.
That's really fun, because the next question that's in front of me is, did anyone ever fly it to other planets or faster than the speed of light?
Well, our experiment, the one I was involved with, was beyond the speed of light because it was instant. It is so, in nature, when it changes, it's so fragmented that, well, the human can't pick any sense of it at all. But even in your highest observation, it is so quick. It is a nanosecond that things change, and it's beyond your conception that it's been changing. So,
Ooh, I got a good one for you coming up next out of chat. This is a dandy, and I'm going to add a little bit to it. How does the ship attain energy to travel through the cosmos? And is it a different configuration for inside our galaxy compared to going to a different galaxy? I love this question.
well, if you're going to Hawaii, you take a bathing suit with you, or if you're going to Alaska, you might take some warm gear or something. So everything has its plus and minuses wherever you want to go. They don't have to be, however, because you can neutralize the energy anytime you want. Any field, you can go into a sandstorm and sit perfectly in the center of it without any disruptions at all. But what was the first part of the question?
How does the ship attain energy to travel through the cosmos?
Because the air that we breathe in and out is the energy of everything. It's magnetic in nature, and it's everywhere. It's in all energy everywhere. Wherever there's energy, and that's everywhere. You never run out of fuel. You never run out of anything because you're living in it. You're eating it. You're being it. You're absorbing it in the field.
Yeah, howdy, Ralph. I'll answer it a little bit more straightforward.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Go ahead. Sure. No, not at all.
Everybody's looking for constructs, and that's the root of the question: is what are the constructs in other dimensions, as opposed to here, and how do you get from here to there? Basically, is what you're asking. And the answer is time and space doesn't exist. So the way that you get there is you go inside your mind and go there. You know, let us know when you get back. It's a holiday. Have a nice time.
Thank you, Mike. That was great. And let's see what else. We've got another one just popped up. Ralph, what are your future projects? Where are any working prototypes of Otis Carr? Are the two questions.
Well, right now we're in a holding period along with everybody else. We're on a supposed lockdown along with everybody else, but we're going through a tremendous amount of changes that are taking place beneath the surface. I mean, they're just thousands and thousands of things that need to be aligned and changed in their proper perspective in order for us to accept what's coming. So Marsha and I have just been kind of staying around Green Valley and staying in touch with our pod and our friends and so forth. But the The future is the things that we've been holding in the wings, which is our collective consciousness. It isn't just us, it's all of us. Collectively, we all know we've had spaceships forever, and let's get them back. And that's what we're doing. We're bringing them back. There's nothing new about them. They've been here forever. We just lost our fun mode of transportation. And but so they're the future is depending on the outcome of this transition we're in, and that depends on how many people are going to stop learning and start remembering who they are. And we're getting testimonies now from people on our email. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize what a good person I am. I thought I was this or that. Yeah, well, take a good look. You're a perfect being, and there's nothing wrong with you. You've never done anything wrong in your life. Stop thinking you have and get the guilt trip off your shoulders, because until you do, you're not going to see anything or do anything that's going to make a big difference to you. So,
and I think another part of that is that we're seeing beyond what we've been taught. It's just like Schomburger saying the fish swam instead of swimming. The birds flew instead of flown. It's like we're seeing beyond what we've always thought was a reality is not necessarily the reality. We're seeing more. And so we can be that more. We can be more than we've ever thought we can be. Just like going in your teleportation and just being there with the thought.
so I don't know if did I answer the question or not. I'm not sure.
Were there? You got the first part. The other half was where are the working prototypes of Otis Carr? And I think I read it wrong when I said it to you the first time.
The working prototypes.
Where are they?
Well,
They're in different places.
yeah, we have them. We have prototypes. They're all not spaceships because they're small machines referencing 3D printers and 5D printers and so forth. They're different concepts of the same principle. The spaceships themselves are in a country that is well known, and I don't want everybody climbing over to Australia to look for them, because you're not going to find them. But they are ready when we're given the sign. Okay, let's see what you got. We have component ships ready to present to people when the time is right, and it's getting very close now, so I can talk about it. But before I just said, well, it's waiting in the wings. Well, now they're waiting to come. They've been waiting to come out for a long time. So, but we have to meet them on equal ground. We can't meet them on physical consciousness in an etheric consciousness at the same time. We have to balance our being until we can be who we really are, and that's all it takes, is just being truthful. As truthful as you can be. That's the key to the whole thing.
Excellent.
But there's many spaceships that are already they're already here, and it's the people that are of the consciousness to see them, and the ones that are not of that consciousness are not seeing them. And that might not be Otis Carr's version of them, but can you help me with that?
Well, we've had a few out, but we've been told to pull them back in. So, but it's like Marsha says, you don't have to look for a spaceship, because if you're meant to see one, you'll feel it. Before you even see it, you'll feel it, and follow that feeling. If it says stop doing what you're doing and go get a cup of coffee or go sit on a rock, follow that feeling. And that opens the door to truth. You're being truthful and following your spirit, your consciousness, and that opens the doors to a communication. And if you're not if you put fear behind you, or if you've gotten to the point of making friends with fear, that's a very important thing. Make friends with fear. Don't try to get rid of it, because you'll never do that. You just make friends with it. Once you've made friends with fear, and there's nothing to fear, then you open your heart to the universe, and voila, there's been a lot of people coming back to us and saying, I've seen a spaceship come down right in my backyard. And I said, well, yeah, you asked for it. You know, it just depends on the individual and where they're at in their consciousness. You have to let go of the ideas that we're real. We're a hologram while we're talking here. I mean,
And the next question comes in, which is a variation on the same question that we've been discussing back and forth, but it's kind of an interesting question. And it's like, can the ship travel into other parallel universes?
Oh, absolutely. There has no limits on the ship. Parallel is just another word for change or dimensions or whatever. Yeah, space is everywhere. There are darker spaces and lighter spaces and whatever word you want to put on them, but it's all space. And so the ships have no limits to where they can and can't go. They can go down in and through your body. In fact, we have one of our people, he just passed away. Incidentally, he was a friend of Tesla's. He had dinner with Tesla the night before Tesla died. He was going to meet him for lunch the next day. But now, what was I going to say about him? I was going to, God, I lost it. What were we talking about?
Going in and out of space and going in and out of parallel space.
Yeah, well, totally, yeah. Okay, well, this individual grew up being taught by a tree. He lay down beside a tree. He was scorned by his family and friends, and he went and sat down by a tree. And the tree, through his consciousness, because he says, I give up on this world, help. And the tree answered him and took him through the root system of the tree. And he describes this. And someday we have it in writing, and then someday it'll be published and put out. We're working on it now. But he went through the root system, identifying with the different systems and how they all are family. They're all alive families that are working, and he was consciously aware of everything and how the water is lifted up to the top and how
through the branches,
and the branches. And then after he had that conscious awareness, he looked at everything as pieces of the same thing. No matter where you want to go, it's just another branch. So branch off and take a look over here or over there. And it's his work and his writings that we're trying to publish now. It'll be out someday. But
what's his name, Ralph?
Well, just Tony.
Donald Tony.
Donald Tony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tony, yes.
Thank you.
And he's not known yet but his books will come out probably this year. Maybe not until early next year.
We're working on it now. We're working on it every all the time.
An amazing man. Amazing man. And
I see.
He taught us a lot about how, I mean, we know it intuitively, we know lots of things, but then he explained to us how we actually, how we create the milk and honey, you might say, through the pituitary gland. And it's amazing work that he has, and
and he's felt his way through all this. This is what it's been really painstakingly, because it's taken him a long time to put it in words so that we can understand. And we had classes with him before he died. He just died a couple of years ago. And we had classes with him for a long time. And it goes into the area of beyond metaphysics. It goes into the area of mysticism. You have to know when he's talking about the liver, or the secretion of fluid. Oh my God, he goes into loving every bit of his journey, and he'll take you through the whole body and explain every vein in your body if you so chose, because he has an unlimited capacity to do that. Well, now he's put it in print, and it'll be coming out soon, but we're working on it.
Excellent.
So,
Crystal, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. I have to step aside for a minute.
Sure. Because the meeting's running on to almost 2 hours now, so I think we have to we have to end it, because it's going to be difficult to process on YouTube if it's too long. Oh, it's so lovely listening to this pearls of wisdom that Marsha and Ralph has been gifting us with, and we are so fortunate and so lucky to have Marsha and Ralph talking to us today in our 78th FESIG meeting second session. Since all the questions have been answered, I think there is no other business and we can close the meeting, shall we? Or is there anything else, any last say that you would like to mention, Ralph, Marsha, before we close the meeting?
well, they've had the saying and the meaning for a long time, to be or not to be. And now they better be, because what's coming, they won't be able to understand it, because it's going to be so good for them, they won't be able to take it. So they better be where they're meant to be, and that's being themselves fully. Just forget about who they think they are and just become who they really are.
And I'm thinking about one of the questions or one of the answers that Cobra gave us earlier, that we need to raise our consciousness. We need to accept who we truly are in order to go to the next step and get out of this merry-go-round, this reincarnation world, and be that spiritual being that we've been created to be. And each one of us are there. We just have to accept it and go for it. Just be it.
Yeah.
Crystal, I thank you so much for asking us and sharing with Ralph and sharing with Mike and Dale Harder. It's all been beautiful. Thank you. And James and Cobra, and it's been a wonderful time. Thank you.
James did an excellent job on the questions and answers.
Oh, wonderful.
Everybody.
Yes.
Thank you
Good
all. We
seeing
love
you
you
all.
very much.
And this is such a great team we have here, don't we? I mean, we're all in one big family here, saying the same thing. And it's
and we can keep you posted as things progress. We'll keep you posted if you like on the nearness of what's happening. It's getting closer every day.
Please do.
We'll keep you
So
posted.
exciting.
I know it is exciting, Crystal.
Yeah.
Love you, Ralph. Love you, Marsha. Love you guys.
Hey, Dan, how you doing, bud?
Good, good. Good to see you. Love you guys.
Can we wrap up the recording and then we'll go to open break?
Sure, I will. I just wanted to say that we are doing the right thing then. FESIG starting this platform where science meets spirituality. So here we have the legendary Ralph Ring and Marsha Ring showing the scientists, the hard-headed left-brain scientists, that to stop being so logical and analytical and be a woo-woo like they claim that we are.
I love it, Crystal. That's perfect.
We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Oh, thank you. So there being no other business, this second session of the 78th FESIG meeting is now adjourned to the 5th of August when we are having our 79th meeting. So stay tuned. Pen that down in your diary. Thank you. Namaste, everyone.
Thank you. Namaste.